I sing a song. I'm your mama. I'm your daddy. I'm the in the alley. I'm the preacher man.
Right.
So this is what I've learned to do is to accept what anybody sees, and I carry myself so they can see the positive. So introduction is generally richer is sufficient.
Oh, okay.
All the things that I've experienced, I wouldn't dare to try to put a handle on that.
Yes.
And I'm dealing with consciousness.
Okay.
I'm dealing with consciousness,
Okay.
which
Hi, I'm Kyla Bursey, and welcome back to Hikylabur, where we are realizing our potential while protecting our mental. Thank you for showing up today as I continue to invite you to feel real still. Feel all that you are, show up as your authentic self, and be present because what better moment than right now? Today we are in Nashville with one of our Nashville elders, Mr. Richard. I've known him from since I can't even remember. I was young, but he just watched me grow up, and I thought his wisdom would be perfect to share with our audience here today to teach us how to appreciate life more and to see beyond that which we think is possible in front of us. So today we have,
Mitchell, Mitchell.
yes. So the first question that I ask everyone is, who are you? Who is Richard Mitchell?
I'm a resident of Nashville, and I've been here for 84 years. And that I have accomplished has made me so tolerant of people's non-accomplishments. I've been blessed to accomplish what I've accomplished, and at this point I want to expose everybody to what I have experienced and how I live. The old saying is, I live the life I love, and I love the life I live. This is my basics for existence and to help people to accomplish a great deal.
That is beautiful. I would love to also mention, that reminds me of the end of my TEDx talk that I did. I said, a young, wise 80-year-old man once said to me, it is the best teacher is not experiment, right? It's listening
That's
to the
right. That's right.
experience. So he is a walking testament of experience, a plethora of them. And we're going to get into a moment from your life that really transformed your mindset about how you see the world because you've lived a lot. So what has been that moment for you?
The moment of the moment is that I'm enjoying the existence of my life. I attend 3 different churches. I teach golf, and I have children that are really productive, and I'm looking forward for them to accomplish much more than what I have accomplished, which is a great deal. But I still want them to go beyond me,
Right.
and that's what a parent is supposed to advocate. That the children should go beyond where they are,
Right.
and this is what I'm striving to accomplish. That they go farther than where I am.
Okay. Okay. So how do you teach them? How have you trained them up to walk in this beyondness of who they once were, so they can better themselves?
But see, what has been advocated is that you don't want to accomplish something that your parents haven't accomplished. That's a concept that's in the heads of majority of older people, and I have problems with that when I attend different churches. and different organizations, I don't hear people talking about be better, be greater, do greater things. If I must exert, take from the scriptures, Jesus, the one that they have labeled Jesus, said that greater things you will do than I, because I'm going to the Father. This is what the adults supposed to be saying to their children. Do greater things. Because I'm passing away. And we haven't learned how to do that yet. I have a little saying quite often. I said to people, who makes doctors? And when I asked who makes doctors, some people stammer or stumble over what I'm saying, because they don't realize that doctors come from doctor homes. Lawyers come from lawyer homes. Okay. And when they teach that kind of thing around the house, the children can't do anything but prosper. If they are prospering or if they've accomplished something, they will excel and duplicate and excel their parents. And that's the goal of a good parent.
Okay. So you're saying in order for us to be greater, we must have that environment to observe, to, like you said, to replicate, to duplicate, and then excel beyond. So once you have reached the level of which your parents have shown you, then you're able to go beyond that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Okay. Exactly. The Bible teaches us to lay aside for the generations to come. I know your children are supposed to be great and accomplish things, but you're supposed to be able to project your information through your children to your grandchildren. And this is where you keep the bad and the good going. We prefer the good. Right. Unfortunately, we get the bad more often than we get the good. So this is what is the basics of improving one's life.
Okay. So as someone like me, a young person entering their career, and I feel like, for example, graduating college in the construct of our society, like you go to school, you get an education, and I'm the first one in my family to do that, and I'm trying to create in my mind a new path or a new outcome that I haven't necessarily seen in front of me, as opposed to like both of my parents are successful in their own merit, but as far as where I'm trying to go, how would you suggest improving within yourself once you reach a certain age that your parents have already built the foundation for you? Now it's time for you to pick up and keep moving for yourself.
Well, unfortunately, the black people as a whole don't have much to leave, and they don't exemplify the kind of person that the children can grow on. But there are exceptions to all rules. It's a lot of people, as you just said, it's a lot of people got big families, but very few in the family excel. They generally stay beneath where they was reared. They generally stay there. But as you said, there was only you one of the main ones and the only ones to graduate from college. Okay, so now I came up in a neighborhood where out of the neighborhood it was about 15 children, 15 to 20 children in a block. And I was the only one in the block to get a high school education. Okay. And I only got it, it's another conversation which we will have, the way I got my education. It wasn't 1 through 12. for sure. It had stumbling blocks.
Okay.
First grade left, second grade left, third grade left, fifth grade offered to be skipped, and my mother said no. Got to the 12th grade and they put me out of school. But now I didn't have the people around me to encourage me. They were off trying to survive in this system.
Yes, and I think that is imperative to note, survival, because a lot of us do stay there. And now, like, I like to consider in the construct of society, first generation, it's like in your immediate family. So maybe more of my family members have graduated. But when you talk about that beyond where you were reared, the home that you were raised in, that's what matters, because if we're not seeing things beyond what we can see it on TV all day, but we generally follow the patterns and the mindset of which we were raised. And so my parents, for example, may not have excelled to where I'm striving to go, but they raised me up so that I can, in my mindset, the things that they're teaching me, to be able to see beyond where they are and say, okay, what's next? What's the next step for me in this life, to where I can understand who I am beyond the things that the labels that society places on me. So for young people being able to create their identities for themselves, and for those young people that want more beyond what their environment has to offer, how would you say they can surround themselves by people that can help them go further?
What the strategies of success does not necessarily mean finishing school.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean being in a perfect household. Okay. Learning has many different angles. Some learn by hearing, some learn by seeing, some learn by feeling. The senses is nothing that you can categorize and put in a bag or a box, because it doesn't work like that. Learning comes from all different angles, and we have to teach our children that I don't know it all, but I can tell you what I know. And that's what the parents should do. They should teach the children positively everything they know, and then advise them to meet somebody else who knows more than they.
Right.
And this is what is not being recommended. It's not being recommended enough. So this thing of excelling, it comes from a lot of different exposure. You know, I sort of smile when I tell people when I bought my first home, I had never nailed a nail. I never painted anything. But my neighbors saw my insufficiency. They were men, younger than me, but more experienced as far as taking care of a house.
Okay. And
they're the ones that did my plumbing and my building. They the one that did it, and I sit and watched. And we'll talk about that as we go on. But I sit and watch them, and they taught me a whole lot just by looking. You know, everything doesn't have to be hands-on to learn. Some people just can look and can see how things are done and duplicate those things.
Okay, so from the mind point of view, like to being conscious about what you're seeking out of life, how do you move beyond a general idea of success by society's terms? Because as you just explained, it goes beyond, like, you can, as we see it all the time, you can be successful without going to college. You can be successful or reach your potential in life in a different way that may be unconventional by what a book may say. But a different book, if you're on a different level, could say something else. So from your knowledge and experience, how would you, you were starting over at my age, like 20, 21, with what you know now, how would you approach life in terms of realizing your potential, becoming all that you can be, but also making sure that you're living holistically?
You said it earlier, and I teach it. Experimenting is not the procedure for learning. The negative, and now you have, as you observe, if your intelligence and your spirituality directs you toward something, you can acquire this something without, as the old folks said, stabbing somebody in the back, gossiping, going around the corner and all this. You don't have to go that way. And good biblical saying, what is for you is for you. And I don't advocate anybody trying to take something from somebody that will elevate you, because you're not being elevated when you take something from somebody else. You got to sit and listen and be taught these things. Like right now, braggadociously, I must say that I can nail a nail. I can nail a nail, and I can paint. It's a lot of things that I had never done, with the understanding I was the 15th child out of 15 children. So I really never had to get in, as they say, coal and kindling, clean off the yard. I didn't have to do that. Okay, so I was handicapped when I finally got around to having my own house.
Yeah.
I didn't realize with so much stuff to be done on a property owned by yourself. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anybody. I couldn't call the office and tell them do this and do that. But this is what I really advocate, is that seek from somebody who's experienced. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Seek somebody. If you're a parent, and well, my favorite game is golf. If you know somebody that can actually shoot golf, recommend your child to them and ask them to deal with your children from that level. Now, we understand their levels are tremendous. It's so many levels to everything. But if you want your child to accomplish anything, direct them towards somebody you trust, somebody you aware of. Direct them to them, and you get out of the way. That's not your field. That's not your field. And if it's not your field, don't claim that you are a master of it. Every time that person in that field speaks up, you want to say something. And that's one of the flaws in parenting. That's one of the flaws in parenting. They will not allow their children to be taught. And that's another subject we'll talk about.
That's truly amazing and beautiful. And I love the conversation we've been having. My cameras, we are outside and it's getting hot. And so I would love to have you back for part 2 to carry on our conversation, especially to hear the feedback and then to hear more. What do the people want to hear from, I say, old wise man, Rich, so a young wise man, so we can get more feedback and then have an even more fruitful conversation. I just don't want this last camera standing to cut out on us. But do you have anything that you'd like to share as we wrap up? I feel like we have had so much to pick up from, so many great thoughts and insights to spark more conversation.
Well, the first thing I like to say, it's 90 and 100 degrees, this was common during the time I played golf.
Okay.
I tell my friends, all we used to do is take a towel and wet it well and wet it with alcohol.
Keep on pushing.
And you literally catch a cold if you get in the shade.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and I want to teach that.
Yeah.
And I want my other students that I taught to play, I want them to teach the young black people how to endure this weather.
Right.
This is our weather.
Yeah.
This is our weather. Now you're gonna perspire, but the thing is that you got to learn how to recognize who you are and whose you are. And that's another deep subject.
Okay. Recognize who you are and whose you are. We're gonna sit on that one. Let that one. That'll be our last thought to meditate on.
Okay.
But thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for being on the podcast. I've enjoyed our conversation, and I'll learn more about the equipment to help it withstand this heat. Maybe we can, but maybe not the technology just yet. But until then, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, and